Hey guys, it's me Andrew, your favorite Canadian YouTuber, and today I will be reviewing Gori, Cuddly Carnage for PC. I'd like to give a huge special thanks to Angry Demon Studios for providing me with a review copy. I couldn't be more honored to be given the opportunity to review this amazing game. Now before we begin, I want to greatly apologize in advance for the awful quality footage you're seeing. I assure you the game looks and runs way better than what you're seeing here. Now heads up, I'm about to go on a little rant on why I had such a frustrating time trying to record gameplay properly. So if you don't want to hear me ramble about it for a few minutes, please skip to this timestamp where I begin the actual review. But if you'd like to hear the explanation as to why the gameplay footage looks like crap, I'll tell you. Okay, so I tried to record the gameplay using OBS, and I don't know why, but for some reason OBS had a lot of trouble trying to record this game on Steam. When I tried recording it at 60 FPS, the visual quality was an even more blurry pixelated mess. In an effort to try and get OBS to record even somewhat decent quality footage of it, I tried tinkering around with multiple settings in both OBS in-game options. I tried reducing the frame rate to 30 FPS in OBS. I tried turning down the in-game graphics settings in favor of performance. Eventually, I even got desperate enough to try reducing the video size or resolution down to 720p. I tried so many different combinations of settings, both OBS and in-game, but no matter what I did, OBS just refused to record the game at a decent level of quality, and words cannot describe how frustrating it was trying to get it to work. Not to mention, I own a very powerful gaming laptop that runs the game itself almost perfectly, so I don't know why OBS struggles to keep up with it. To be honest, this is why I much prefer streaming and recording games on PlayStation 5, as its built-in live streaming system works much better than OBS, for me at least. And the PS5's built-in game recording feature maintains the overall quality of the gameplay footage much consistently better than OBS. Emphasis on the BS. In fact, I'll even show some gameplay I recorded of the Gori demo on PS5. I know it might seem kind of dishonest or something to show footage of the PS5 version even though I'm reviewing the PC port, but let's face it, this shoddy footage from OBS does not do the game justice at all. So perhaps the PS5 demo footage will give you all a good idea of just how good the PC version looks, as after playing Gori on both PS5 and PC, I can confidently say that the PC version looks and runs at least just as good as the PS5 version, if not better. Though that's not too surprising, I guess. So if you like what you're seeing here, I think it gets the point across well enough. Alright, now that I've cleared up all of that, let's finally begin the review. Gori Cuddly Carnage takes place in a post-apocalyptic world overrun by mutant, zombie-like toys, mostly plushy unicorns, which have essentially killed off all of humanity to extinction, except for one human scientist who knows how to stop them, and it's up to her son Gori and his best friend slash hoverboard Frank to find and save her, as well as put an end to this plushy zombie apocalypse while slicing and dicing through every unicorn and terrifying toy in their path every step of the way. As named in the title, you play as Gori, an adorable bipedal cat that was created in a lab, though I'd rather not spoil too much of the story. The game's premise is about as ridiculous and over the top as it sounds, but at the same time has some genuinely sad and emotional moments, especially when learning about Gori's tragic past and comic book style cutscenes. Anyway, other than armies of undead plushy unicorns, there's a variety of other interesting characters you'll meet throughout the game. The second main character I mentioned earlier is a talking AI hoverboard with built-in blades and a potty mouth named Frank. To sum him up, Frank's character kind of reminds me of like a mix of Claptrap from Borderlands and Hoji from Shadow Warrior, both of which are known for being somewhat amusing characters. Though if you ask me, Frank's profanity censoring is mildly amusing, but honestly I do find it kind of funny how it was implied that his swear censoring was caused by a digital STD he contracted from having intercourse with an RC car. Honestly, I have no idea how that even works, but it's best not to think too hard on it. What I also find kind of amusing is that there's an option to remove the censoring and restore his freedom of speech, but you have to buy it from the Cool Toy store. Anyway, another prominent character in the game is your spaceship's living computer AI named Chip, who reminds me a lot of Marvin the depressed robot from Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. Not sure if that that was the inspiration for Chip's character, but I've been constantly getting serious Marvin vibes from him throughout the whole game. Aside from the main trio, you'll meet all sorts of interesting characters, from a computer voice that Frank has a virtual hard-on for, to a delusional talking goldfish that also happens to be like a German scientist or something. Heck, even Plankton's wife Karen from SpongeBob makes an appearance, and she's even more Karen than usual. Alright, joking aside, you're probably wondering, what's the game itself like? Well, the game runs fine on PC for the most part. There were a couple of very occasional lags or stutters here and there, but nothing too distracting from the gameplay. The gameplay itself is just as fun, engaging, and satisfying as it looks. I know quite a few people have compared this game to Lollipop Chainsaw, and it's not hard to see why. Gameplay-wise, it does play somewhat similarly, though noticeably different at the same time. I'd say the combat generally feels smoother than Lollipop Chainsaw, though at the same time the controls feel a bit more simplistic and like they don't require quite as much skill to master compared to Lollipop Chainsaw, probably because there aren't as many attack buttons or complex combinations to memorize. Though of course, that's not a bad thing. If you want to play a hack and slash beat 'em up with a control scheme that's simple and satisfying, without having to worry about any overly complex combat mechanics occupying your brain capacity, well, Gori's got you covered. As for the movement, the hoverboard mechanics feel very smooth, fluid, and comfortable to control. While some games' hoverboards tend to feel very slippery, floaty, and awkward, Gori's is quite the opposite. I really like how sharp and swiftly it turns, with little to no restrictive momentum, weight, or drag on the turns, in a way that feels similar to the satisfying surfboard from Foam Stars. Now there's a reference you didn't expect to hear for comparison. The rail grinding flows just fine for the most part. Even if you don't land directly on the rail, just hold down R1 or RB near a rail and you'll sort of magnetically lock onto it. You can also grind on glowing neon signs, which also replenish some of Frank's energy, although the wall sign grinding is a little finicky at times. Sometimes I accidentally jump too high and end up jumping right over the sign, and I have to sort of wiggle around in midair to land on the sign sideways in order to slide on it, but that sometimes results in me sliding the opposite direction I intended to, depend on which direction I'm facing when I touch the sign. So yeah, that does take a little time to get used to. On another note, quick time events aren't exactly the most beloved game mechanic in video games, especially nowadays, but they can be fun, engaging, and satisfying if they're done well, and I'd say Gori's quick time events were done quite well, as they feel surprisingly natural and satisfying to pull off, especially when you get into the rhythmic habit of performing Gori kills immediately after bashing unicorns, leaving them open for a Gori kill one by one. The game offers a decent level of challenge. It varies depending on what difficulty you choose, but for the most part, the challenge is often fair and rewarding. To be honest, I hardly felt very frustrated or like the game cheated or pulled a cheap shot on me or anything like that at any point. The only part of the game I found genuinely frustrating for a brief period of time was the second to final boss, which I won't spoil. Though I'll admit, the second level boss fight took me a few minutes to figure out what to do, as I ended up falling down quite a few times. I'm surprised it took me so long to realize I had to shoot the eyes, considering that's what I was constantly doing for a good chunk of the level. Not to mention, on the first level, there was one point that took me a while to figure out, and left me stumped, only to find out the answer was right in front of me in plain sight the whole time. To be honest, I don't think it's so much the game's fault as it was just me being an idiot. I certainly felt like one at that point. Anyway, after collecting 3 pieces of a key in each level, you unlock one of the many doors that lead to new sections of the spaceship hub area, as well as earning a snazzy new outfit for Gori. There's a variety of many different fur colors, eye colors, and outfits you can unlock for Gori, some of which include some rather amusing and interesting Easter eggs I didn't expect to see in this game. Memento Gori. Now, the game is relatively short, as there's only a total of 7 levels, or 8 if you count the final boss, all of which have a decent length, but for what I've seen, the game can be beaten in as little as 4.5 hours, though my total playtime was a little over 13 hours, cause, as many of you know, I like to take my sweet arse time and explore a lot of each level. Also, I decided to play all of the mini challenges after each level, where I get to rescue uninfected unicorns. Figured that'd be a good way to get the full experience out of it. Not only is the game overall a fun experience, but it has a pretty awesome soundtrack too. Honestly, I think I'm gonna have Gori's main theme stuck in my head for a little while. After playing through and experiencing everything this game has to offer, the only question I have stuck in my head is, what happened to the laser pointer, aka the weapon we spent most of the game collecting pieces trying to build? I won't spoil anything, but I am confused as to what happened to it later on in the game. Anyway, would I recommend playing Gori Cuddly Carnage? Absolutely 100% yes. There's a free demo if you want to try it first, but I'd say the full game is definitely worth buying, as I consider it to be one of the best games of 2024 so far. Gori Cuddly Carnage is available on all platforms, including PlayStation, Xbox, Nintendo Switch, and Steam. Or, if you prefer buying games physically, then better mark your calendars, because Gori is getting a physical release at retail stores on October 29th, 2024. Thank you all for watching my review of Gori Cuddly Carnage. What are your thoughts on it? Do you plan on getting this game? Please let me know in the comments below.